Tonight, Roma Wines bring you Miss June Havoc in Stand-In, a suspense play produced, edited, and directed for Shenley by William Spear.
Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills, is presented for your enjoyment by Roma Wines. That's R-O-M-A, Roma Wines. Those better-tasting California wines enjoyed by more Americans than any other wine in the world. And thanks to this tremendous popularity, you can now serve Roma wine more often. Roma prices have been reduced to save you money on every bottle you and your friends enjoy. We'll tell you more about this money-saving opportunity later on. And now, Roma Wines bring you Miss June Havoc in a remarkable tale of suspense.
She's here, Diana. Get WC. Tell him, will you? And Jensen, take on those 40 Western Union boys that were supposed to come out and sing Here Comes the Bride.
Very good, sir.
And everybody take it easy now. Keep calm. What do you want to do? Give her a nervous breakdown?
Right this way, boys. Hello, darling. Hello, everybody. Madame is home again.
I was always the way with Madame. A grand entrance for her and utter confusion for everybody else. She was rotten spoiled. But what could you do? On the screen, she looked like an angel. And she was the top box office draw of the biggest studio in Hollywood. Everybody heard the story by now, of course. That is, the 9-day wonders version that the newspapers carried. But there are only 2 people in the world who know the real story. And I'm one of them. You see, I was her stand-in. This particular little caper all began just before her latest picture was supposed to go in front of the cameras. And she suddenly decided she simply couldn't bear to be making only $10,000 for a whole week's work, and took off for Florida. Nobody heard a word of her for 2 months except in the newspapers. Little things like she'd married her 5th husband and lost $40,000 in one night at roulette, and bought an old Spanish monastery and was going to bring it back to Hollywood stone by stone. And then all of a sudden, she was coming back. That very day, with husband and monastery and everything. And everybody had to jump. The retinue had been waiting all afternoon and going not so quietly crazy. Particularly Mike Foss, her publicity agent, and me. I was having a whole duplicate set of dresses fitted so we could start the picture the minute she got back. She swept in, and I took a look at the new husband. And the minute I saw him, I knew there was going to be trouble. Because he wasn't taking it well. He wasn't taking it at all well.
Madame, for the love of Pete, where have you been? WC's been blowing his top all day, and the newspaper boys
now, Michael, darling, everything's been taken care of. I sent WC a big box of orchids from the airport. And I brought a few of the newspaper boys along.
You did?
Hello,
Listen,
Pogo, darling.
I want to talk to you. First, I wanted to give you...
by the way, everybody, this is my new husband, Dennis O'Brien. He flew me out. We bought a little 4-seater. Isn't he gorgeous? Gorgeous. Such an improvement on Romano, doesn't it? Say hello to the folks, Denny, huh?
Hello?
Say, how about a couple of nice pictures of the bride and groom, huh?
Oh, well, darling, I think that's a splendid idea.
good.
Come on, Dennis. Come on, a little to one side, I think, darling. Leaning over, perhaps. That's right. Not too far into the picture.
Where you say.
There. Now, isn't that about right, boys?
That's fine. Now, one of you alone, madame.
Oh, certainly. You can go now, Dennis. I'll join you a little later, darling. Just look around the house. Make yourself at home.
Thanks.
Hold it, madame. Thank you. Goodbye.
That's all right.
Madame, I was wondering about your hair. Are you going to wear it up in the cathedral scene?
Entree beat. Lawrence and our miners' party was beaucoup.
Madame,
Really.
Madame, I wondered...
Diana, darling, I hardly noticed you. How are the new dresses coming? That one you have on looks lovely, dear.
Well,
you look lovely, too.
Well, thanks, Madame. I was wondering
please, will you go? Diana, dear, I shall have to go and have that awful ordeal with WC, and the Schwartzes will be
Well,
here.
certainly.
Oh.
Good night, Madame. You see what I mean? I won't say I didn't hate her, because I did. But I was used to it by now. It was a living, and better than pounding a typewriter or getting mauled in a modeling agency. I made my way back through the big, gloomy house to the study where I'd left my things. As I opened the door, I saw her husband, Dennis. He was standing with his back to me in the semi-darkness, looking out the big French windows that lead to the formal garden. He turned his head a little when I came in, and then back again, staring out the window. But even from where I stood, I could see that his big shoulders were bunched into knots.
I could kill you when you're like that, Maggie. What do you think I am, one of your Great Danes that you're going to haul around on a leash and put through parlor tricks?
But
I'm not listening now, Maggie. I'm telling you. Now, cut it out. Cut it out, or so help me some night I'll murder you.
Well, sorry, Mr. O'Brien. I didn't mean to...
Oh, I thought it was Maggie.
Oh, so I gather.
Excuse me.
Oh, that's all right. Forget it. I know you didn't mean it.
No. That's where you're wrong, sister.
Oh?
I meant every word of it.
I looked at him. Handsome, weak, and violent. And I think I saw it all right then. For one split second, a flash of intuition, the future lit up in front of me like a marquee sign. A sign in big red letters that said, murder.
For Suspense, Roma Wines are bringing you June Havoc in Stand-In. Roma...
I don't have the right face for the screen, but I've got everything else. And Denny knew it. I didn't keep it a secret from him either. Not that I had to flaunt it at him. He was married to a slightly sagging movie queen, at least 10 years older than I was. And he was only human. Not that I said anything either. For a week I hardly spoke to him. First because it was smart. And then, being Madame's stand-in, because I was busy. There was all the flurry of getting the picture started, costumes and tests and so on, and finally the Academy Award dinner. Perhaps the less said about that, the better. It was Olivia de Havilland who got the award, of course, not Madame. And she found out about it just before the dinner and threw a wing-ding. But we got her out of there and brought her home before she caused too much damage. And Mike called a doctor and he gave her a sedative, and then Denny and I were alone for the first time. All alone in that big rambling mausoleum of a house.
Diane?
Yes?
Come over here, won't you?
I'm all right here.
Then I'll come over there. I'm not used to these big spaces.
But keep a little space, huh, Denny? I'm not used to no space.
I know. I've got no business even looking at you.
But what?
For a week now, I've been watching you. Thinking about you.
I know.
Did you?
Well, those things don't usually happen to just one person, Denny. It takes two.
Diane?
Oh, wait a minute, Denny.
Why?
There are a couple of things we'd better get straight.
All right.
Oh, Denny, you poor, big, beautiful character, you. Why did you have to marry her?
Well, things look a little different sometimes from where you are than they do when you get there.
And where were you?
I was a lifeguard. Just as simple as that.
And you thought this looked even easier?
Well, there wasn't anyone else, and I thought, well, Hollywood, glamour, luxury. I might even get a break myself. Funny things have happened.
Now you know.
Yeah. Now I know.
But you still want those things that you married her for, don't you?
Sure, I suppose so. But I want something else now.
Me?
Yeah.
Sure. You got what you want, but I haven't. And I'm not settling for anything less. I'm not going to be the little girl that you see when you want to and then come back and lie around in your swimming pool. I want a swimming pool, too.
Well, maybe there's a way we can have it together.
Sure. There is a way.
What way are you thinking about?
A way that people like us would never want to take.
But suppose we did.
That would be different.
Is that a deal?
Sure. That's a deal. Casual. The light touch. But it was there just the same. We never spoke about it after that. Things went along and, well, I'm only human, too. But there was always that understanding between us. All that time we were just waiting, I guess, for what they call in the crime stories the opportunity. And then on the last week of the shooting schedule on Madame's new picture, it came. There was only one more take before we knocked off that day, so I was free to go home. But everybody else was jumpy and irritable as usual, particularly Madame. And then I saw Denny walking down the stage.
Don't blame me for holding up the picture. You're the director. I'm not.
Oh, please,
I'll be
Madame.
ready any time you say.
Make it 10 minutes.
Well, really.
Okay, fellas, move in for the close-up.
Oh, hello there, Maggie.
Oh, it's you.
Yeah, when are you quitting?
Oh, Dennis, how do I know? I'm not the director. I'm merely the star.
You know, we're supposed to be aboard the yacht by 7:30. There'll be people waiting.
All right. Let them wait.
Yeah, but yesterday you said that
Oh,
you wanted...
yesterday I said one thing. Today I am working. Now shut up and leave me alone.
Don't talk to me that way, Maggie.
What?
I'm your husband, remember?
Yes. And I've had about all of that I can stand, too. Now you get out of here. Do you hear me? Get out of here.
Okay, Maggie.
And you might start looking for a good divorce lawyer. I think you're going to need one.
Hello.
Oh, hello, Diane.
Let's take a little stroll out to the gate, shall we?
I could use some fresh air.
Come on. We'll duck out the big stage door here.
Okay. Well, it doesn't look like I have much longer, does it?
Not much.
Now or never.
I'm not quite sure I know what you're talking about, Denny.
Let's quit kidding ourselves. You know what I'm talking about. If she divorces me, we're finished.
You're finished.
All right, I'm finished. So if we are ever going to do anything, it's got to be now.
All right, let's quit kidding ourselves. Are we going to do anything?
I would, if I knew how.
There's the guard at the gate.
Good evening, Mr. O'Brien. Miss Burke?
Uh-huh.
Hello.
Hey, Madame, can I please have your autograph?
Afraid you got the wrong gal, Sonny. I'm not Madame.
You can't fool me, Madame. You're shooting that picture, Carmelita.
Oh, go on, Peter, will you?
I even seen you in the same dress lots of
Oh,
times.
sure, they fixed me up to look like Madame, but I'm not. I'm only her stand-in.
Stand-in?
Come on, Diane.
Wait a minute. Look, Sonny. They gotta have somebody standing in there so they can focus everything just right, and that's me. Then when they're ready to shoot the scene, Madame comes out all fresh and pretty and plays it. You see now?
Oh, you sure look like her, though.
Well, that's what they pay me for.
Diane,
What?
that's it. That's the how, right there.
The what?
How? The kid just told us just now. Don't you get it?
How do you...
Sure. Out of the mouths of babes. How to murder your wife.
The whole thing would take about 20 minutes. But it had to be timed and planned to the split second. We planned it for the last day and the last shot of the picture, when everybody lets down and gets sort of half hysterical at the idea that the thing is finally over. The shooting schedule was made for us. The last shot with Madame was on an enormous set of a cathedral interior, with the camera pulling back half the length of the stage. It was shot silent. There was no dialogue and no sound. We figured the shot for about 10:30 at night, and we were almost right on the nose. They finished the close-up, and the sound men had shoved their mics and things over to one side of the set, and the director and the cameraman were lining up for the long shot.
We'll be ready in about 20 minutes, madame.
Well, I'll be in my dressing room combing, if you please. Oh, what a relief. What a blessed relief. It's almost over.
Madame.
Yes, my dear.
You won't need me anymore, will you?
Oh, no. No, my dear. Run along. Run along and enjoy yourself, and thank heaven you're not a star.
Thanks. Good night, Madame.
Good night, dear. Well. Dennis.
Hello, Maggie.
I've been beastly to you lately, Dennis, really. Come along to my dressing room. We'll have a little talk.
As I was leaving the stage, Jenny was taking her back to her dressing room. It was 10:40, and I knew exactly how he'd look at her, and what he'd say, and what he'd do.
Close the door, Denny. Yes, that's it. Do sit down. Make yourself comfortable.
No, thanks.
Oh, don't be silly. There's just one more take, and
You're
then
not going to make it, though, Maggie.
What do you mean?
I mean, you're through, Maggie. Through.
Dennis.
You leaving again, Lenny? Yeah, I got my orders. She said to call her when you're ready. Okay. Night, then. Night.
7 minutes. 7 minutes were gone. Now he'd be passing the guard at the stage door.
Good night, Mr. O'Brien.
Night.
And now he'd be walking down the studio street and turning the corner at the other end of stage 1. and strolling over to the guard at the main gate.
Hello, Mr. O'Brien. Going home now?
I wish I knew. You married, Matt?
I know what you mean.
Well, I got my orders, and all I can do is carry them out. Ours not to question why, eh?
Yeah, that's right. You waiting for Madame?
Yep. She told me to wait until exactly 11 o'clock, and if she wasn't out here to go on home, so I got 10 or 15 minutes to kill. Cigarette?
Oh, thanks. Don't mind if I do.
He'd stay there now. He'd stay there until it was time. It was 10:49. Just 5 minutes before, I had passed that same guard on the stage door.
Good night, Miss Burke.
Night. And I had walked down the same studio street and passed the same guard at the main gate.
Well, finally knocking off, eh, Miss Burke?
That's right. Good night.
Yeah, good night, Miss Burke. Good night.
I had walked straight ahead, as though I was going to the bus line. And then, when I was out of sight of the main gate, I ducked up the little side street that runs along the west end of the lot. I kept in the shadows now, watching every move. About 100 feet from the corner, there's another gate. It's usually locked and never used. But they'd been shooting an exterior, and they'd taken the gate off the hinges. There were barricades across the entrance, and a watchman who passed about every 15 minutes and then rounded the corner. He was passing now. I waited in the shadows. Now, he was gone. Now was the time. I took a quick look around. There was no one in sight. I dashed to the gate and was over the barricades in an instant and running as softly as I could toward the back of stage one. The big door at the back where they move in the scenery and the flats was open about a foot. We'd seen to that. And I squeezed in and I made my way behind the scenes to Madame's dressing room. I opened the door and closed it behind me. And then I knew for sure that Denny had been there and done his part. She was lying on the floor with the marks of his big hand still on her throat. She was dead. It was 10:57. I had on the costume with the veil over my face, and there was nothing to do but wait. Wait there, shot up in a little room with a dead woman. For them to call her, and for me to play her part. I tried not to look at her lying there, and finally...
We're all ready, Madame.
I waited for the steps to die away, and then I opened the door. As Denny had said, it was now or never. I walked out and took my place on the steps.
You ready, Madame?
I nodded my head.
Rolling. Speed. Action.
Out of the corner of my eye, I caught the camera on the big boom, slowly beginning to pull back. It seemed 1,000,000 miles away. I began walking down the aisle of the cathedral. There was no sound, so I was getting directions all the way.
That's it, Madame. Slowly now. Slowly. Remember, you're overwhelmed with grief. Now you kneel. That's it. Now you clasp your hands together. Now cast your eyes upward. That's it. Perfect. Now hold it. A little longer. Just a little longer. Cut. That's all, boys. Put it in the car.
That was all. I had to keep myself from running as I started back to the dressing room, but when I got there, I sprinted. Around the corner and out to the big door. Denny's car was there, all right, with the back door open, and I slipped into it and lay down on the floor of the back seat. It was 11 o'clock.
Well, looks like my time's up.
Yeah. Couple of minutes after 11. Guess she's not coming, huh?
Guess not. Well, orders is orders.
Yeah, that's right, Mr. O'Brien.
I could hear his steps coming over to the car, and then getting in, and then we were starting off.
Good night, Mr. O'Brien.
Good night. You back there, Diane?
Yes, I'm here.
Well, we made it, baby. We made it.
We knew they probably wouldn't find her till the next day. Even a director wouldn't dare disturb her if he got no answer at the dressing room door, and that's what happened. We got the news about mid-morning, and of course everybody on the lot was grief-stricken. And that afternoon, everybody who'd been on the Carmelita set or had anything to do with Madame was called into projection room A. That's when we first met Lieutenant Malone.
Now, I know you folks all feel bad about this, but we might as well lay it on the line. The lady's dead, and someone who was on that set is the one who killed her. Now, you're the husband, aren't you? Dennis O'Brien?
That's right.
Well, you know how we work these things. Motive and opportunity. And just offhand, Mr. O'Brien, you practically got a corner on the motive market.
I suppose I have.
Oh, but Lieutenant, a dozen people saw Mr. O'Brien leave the set before she was killed, before she made the last shot, and he was out talking to the guard the whole time after that, and then he went straight home, and he couldn't have done it.
Yeah, I know. It's a good alibi. Awful good.
Well, how do you know some stranger didn't kill her? Maybe she fell asleep in the dressing room after the shot, and some prowler...
No, it just doesn't feel right. You got the film of that last shot you made?
Yeah, we got it here.
Let's see it, huh?
Will you run that last Carmelita take again, please? Well, here we go.
That's it, madame. Slowly now. Slowly. Remember it.
What was that? That's me giving directions. It was supposed to be silent shot. Of course, that won't be used. There'll be music to cover that.
Well, let's hear it anyway.
Whatever you say.
That's it. Perfect. Now hold it. A little longer. Just a little longer. Cut.
Huh? That's all there is to it.
Yeah. Not much there.
Why, Lieutenant, nobody in the studio would have touched a hair of Madame's head. We all loved her so much.
Yeah, you better learn a little more about the picture business before you start throwing wild accusations around.
I think you got something there, Mike. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll just do that little thing.
A month went by. Of course, Denny and I didn't dare see much of each other, but things were going along. I'd even had a couple of small parts. On the strength of all the publicity about Madame, somebody discovered that maybe I did have the right face for the screen. And then one day we got a call to go to projection room A. And there was Lieutenant Malone again.
Just make yourselves comfortable, folks. I got something to show you.
I hope it's more than you had the last time.
Yeah, Mike, yeah. I've been learning the picture business, like you said. I learned a lot, too. All about silent shots and sound shots and wild track and dubbing and stand-ins. You were Madame's stand-in, weren't you, Miss Burke?
Yes, I was.
Uh-huh. You look quite a lot like her, too.
Well, little, I suppose.
Oh, you'd fool me all right if your back was turned. Well, I've been fooling around down in the cutting rooms. I never realized before how much stuff got thrown away. I made a little collection of it. I want to show it to you. Here we go. That is a wild soundtrack. You make that separate and mix it in after you've made your film, right? You can make sound without pictures just the same as you can make pictures without sound, right? Now, that day you folks were making that last shot of Carmelita, the sound engineers were sort of slap-happy, it being the last day and all, and so they just pushed their microphones out of the way. But they forgot to turn off the sound. And they pushed that mic right up against Madame's dressing room before the last shot. And the cameraman was running some test film, and here's what he got. I found this in a cutting room trash bin.
Close the door, Denny. Yes, that's it. Do sit down. Make yourself comfortable.
No, thanks.
Oh, don't be silly. There's just one more take, and then
You're not going to make it, though, Maggie.
What do you mean?
I mean, you're through, Maggie. Through.
Dennis!
Well, I guess that's it. Huh, Mr. O'Brien? Miss Burke?
Yes. Yes, I guess that's it. I haven't seen Denny since the trial. I wonder if I'll see him afterwards. If what the preachers say is right, I suppose I will. And, of course, Madame will be down there, too. I can't think of any worse punishment than being her stand-in through all eternity. So I suppose that's what I'll get.
Suspense.
Presented by Roma Wines, R-O-M-A, Roma, America's favorite wines. In a moment, we'll hear again from June Haddock, star of tonight's suspense play. Meanwhile, this is Truman Bradley with a suggestion that you try Roma Wines and discover for yourself the important difference, the extra taste luxury that makes Roma America's most preferred wine. You'll find that Roma wines taste better because Roma alone selects from the world's greatest reserves of fine wines. You will also find that you now pay less for Roma's premium quality, that you actually save up to 20% on these better-tasting wines. Tomorrow, buy a supply of Roma California Sherry, the perfect appetizer before dinner, the gracious gesture when friends drop in.
This is June Havoc. Suspense is one of my favorite programs, and I got a real thrill appearing on it tonight. I'm going to be listening to next week's Suspense show when Elliot Reed will be the star. Thanks a lot and good night.
June Havoc will soon be seen opposite George Raft in the United Artists production Intrigue. Tonight's suspense play was by Robert Richards and Pamela Wilcox. Next Thursday, same time, you will hear Mr. Elliot Reed as star of Suspense.
Yes, more Americans enjoy Roma than any other wine because Roma wines taste better. Taste better because only Roma selects from the world's greatest reserves of fine wines for your pleasure. And now, Roma Wines, R-O-M-A, Roma Wine Company of Fresno, California, bring you
Suspense. Tonight, Roma Wines present Mr. Elliot Reed in Dead of Night, a suspense play produced for Shenley by William Spear.
Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills, is presented for your enjoyment by Roma Wines. That's R-O-M-A, Roma Wines, those better-tasting California wines. This is the month of June, when hearts are gay and wedding bells ring, when the new bride is toasted and the brides of yesteryear are honored with traditional champagne. So remember the occasion. Say it with Roma Champagne, a superb bulk process sparkling wine, and discover better taste at its brilliant best. You'll find the golden goodness of sparkling Roma Champagne the crowning touch to every festive occasion, whether it be wedding reception or anniversary, formal dinner, or just friendly entertaining at home. Yet for all its premium quality, Roma Champagne now actually costs you less. At new low prices, Roma champagne or any Roma wine is your best buy in better taste. And now, Roma Wines bring you Mr. Elliot Reed in a remarkable tale of suspense.
Helen and I had never been apart since our folks died. Never before that summer when I got a job at a mountain resort. She was supposed to go with me, wait on tables or something, and it was to be our vacation. But at the last minute, she decided to stay in town. She figured her boyfriend, Steve, might be coming home on furlough. I should have known better. My sister was such a kid. But I let her talk me into it, and I went alone. That was the beginning of the whole thing. That's when she met him, Phil Armstrong. If I hadn't gone away that summer, I guess Phil would be alive today. All during the time I was gone, Helen didn't write much, and what letters I did get didn't seem natural, so I was anxious to finish my job and get home. I expected her to be at the bus station, but she wasn't, and when I got to the apartment, I could hear someone moving inside. The door was locked, so I knocked. Helen!
Who is it?
It's me.
Jimmy?
Yeah. Open the door.
Oh, Jimmy, just a minute.
Well, since when have you taken to locking the door in the daytime? Helen, what did you do to yourself? Your face. Were you in an accident?
I fell, Jimmy. I fell and I hurt myself.
Your eyes swollen shut. Let me look at it.
Jimmy, I have something to tell you.
What are these suitcases doing here?
You and I are going away, Jimmy. We've got to get out of here. I've packed everything.
We're going no place till you tell me what this is all about.
While you were gone, I got married.
Married? You mean Steve was here on furlough?
No, Jimmy, not to Steve.
Not... But you were engaged to him.
I know, but I got a letter from him right after you left. He married someone he met where he was stationed.
Oh, Helen. Gee.
I was pretty upset, Jimmy, and that's when I met Phil Armstrong.
But, gee, I think you might have... I don't even know the guy.
No, neither did I. But I was unhappy.
You just don't go off and marry someone you don't know.
That's what I did, Jimmy. Now, we've got to get out of here.
But why?
Because there's been trouble.
What kind of trouble?
I'm afraid, Jimmy. He's terrible. He takes something. I don't know what, but sometimes he's just crazy.
Helen.
Yes?
Your face. You didn't fall.
No.
He did that. I'll kill him.
Or he'll kill you. That's what I mean. That's why we've got to get away.
You can get a divorce, can't you?
No, he threatened me if I even tried to get
one.
one.
We'll put him under a peace bond.
What good would a peace bond be, Jimmy, if he killed one of us?
So I let her talk me into running away. I guess I shouldn't have. But I knew that if I saw him after what he'd done to her... Well, anyhow, she looked so frightened. I thought it best to let her do it her way. We got to Santa Monica that night, and we stopped at a motel near the water. Well, a week slipped by, and Helen seemed to be forgetting. She didn't jump every time someone knocked at the door. I managed to get a job at one of the shooting concessions on the pier, and we both began to feel good for a while. Then one night late, as I came home from work, I heard voices coming from our apartment. I knew who it was, and I knew from what Helen had told me it would be foolish for me to go in unarmed. So I ran back to the shooting concession. I knew something was going to happen. It didn't take long, but when I got back, the lights were out, and the sound of voices was gone. I tried the door. It was very dark. And then my foot struck something soft and heavy on the floor. I snapped on the switch, and the room was flooded with light. And I looked down into a dead man's face. Oh! I stood there shivering with cold and terror, looking down at that man. Although I'd never seen him in life, I knew this was Phil, her husband. There was a deep gash over his eye, and the blood still flowed from it onto the floor. I stepped over him and I ran into the bedroom. Helen! Helen! But there was no one in the bedroom or in the kitchen. And then I heard the front door open.
Oh, Jimmy!
Close that door, Helen.
Jimmy!
Close it, do you hear me? Be quiet. Turn the lights out. Be quiet, I tell you.
Oh, Jimmy. What have I let you in for?
Stay where you are. Shh. Don't move, Helen.
Who is it?
I don't know. Keep quiet.
Jimmy, it's Mrs. Gordon. She's going to unlock the door.
Just a minute, Mrs. Gordon. I'll get something on.
Jimmy, what's going on in there? All the tenants have been complaining.
Oh, some friends of mine, Mrs. Gordon. They were having a party. They're gone now.
Jimmy Barton, you should be ashamed of yourself. Open this door. I want to talk to you.
I'm not dressed. I was taking a shower.
Well, slip something on.
I'm tired. I was just going to bed.
Jimmy, I told you I wanted to talk to you. Now, will you open this door?
She has a pass key, Jimmy.
All right, Mrs. Gordon. Just let me get some clothes on. I didn't know what to do. I knew that she was determined to come in. Mrs. Gordon is a nosy old woman. But she meant well. She'd taken it upon herself to mother Helen and me since the first minute she laid eyes on us. And we'd had a time keeping her out of the apartment with her pots of jam and her bowls of soup.
What'll we do, Jimmy?
Helen, take him by the feet.
No!
Helen, take him by the feet. We started half dragging, half carrying him towards the bedroom, the rug slipping along the floor as we moved. We'd just gotten into the bedroom and then...
Well, as long as your mother isn't here to look after you, I'm going to do it myself.
We can't leave him here. She might come into the bedroom.
Quick, the bathroom.
Jimmy, where are you?
Jimmy, what if she comes in here?
Pull back those shower curtains.
Jimmy, we can't.
Don't argue. Pull them back.
Jimmy, I can't get his legs in.
Here, I'll double them up. There. Now pull the curtains together.
Jimmy, what's been going on in here? Look at my rugs. Has there been a fight?
Just a minute, Mrs. Gordon.
Jimmy, what's on this floor? And on this gas heater? Is this blood?
Jimmy.
Get me a razor out of the medicine chest.
Here. What are you going to do?
Never mind. Stay where you are. I'm coming, Mrs. Gordon.
Well, just as I suspected. You've been fighting. You've hurt yourself. Here, let me see your hand.
It isn't bad, Mrs. Gordon.
Well, no wonder you didn't want me to come in. Where's Helen?
She's out. She hasn't been here all evening.
Here, let's look at your hand.
It isn't bad, Mrs. Gordon.
You let me see that hand. There. Why, Jimmy, this is a bad gash. Have you disinfected it?
Yes. Yes, I have.
Well, let me bandage it for you.
No, this towel's all right.
It's not all right. Where are your bandages and things? In the bathroom?
No. I don't have any.
You're just saying that, Jimmy Barton, because you don't want to be bandaged. You're not fooling me. And I'm going right into the bathroom and get some.
No, not the bath. I mean, I don't have any.
Well, I'll just see for myself.
No, Mrs. Gordon.
Jimmy, you've dripped blood all over this floor. Here, let's look in this medicine closet. There. I knew it. Here's some tape and some gauze, too.
Mrs. Gordon, can't we do this in the living room?
No, we'll do it right here. Now, here's some alcohol. Put your hand over here.
We stood there, and she bandaged me. And I kept wondering where Helen had gone. And then I saw the shower curtain move slightly. And I knew. For a moment, I thought Mrs. Gordon had seen it move, too.
Jimmy, just look at that shower curtain.
Yes.
Goodness, you've smeared that with blood, too. I'd better clean things up before Helen gets home. You'll scare the life out of her.
No, I'll clean it up, Mrs. Gordon. You've done enough. Thanks very much for taking care of this hand.
Well, all right, if you don't want me to. Now, you'd better get some sleep. I'll see you in the morning. Good night, Jimmy.
Good night, Mrs. Gordon.
Jimmy.
Shh, Helen.
Oh, I had to hide someplace, and it was terrible.
I know. It was the only thing you could do.
Oh, Jimmy?
Yes?
Jimmy, I forgot to tell you that I'm having some painting done tomorrow, so you'll have to be out of here early. It's hard enough getting painters these days without making them wait for my tenants to get up.
All right, Mrs. Gordon. I'll be out first thing in the morning.
Good night.
Good night.
We'll have to get him out of here.
Yeah.
Where'll we take him?
I don't know. I've got to think. Helen, you try and rest.
Jimmy, let me get to the police. Let me tell them that I did it. Let me tell them what he was. They won't do anything to me.
No, you try and rest. What time is it?
About 6.
I've got 2 hours before the painters get here.
What are you going to do?
Well, there's the car. No one will see us if we take him through the service porch into the garage.
Then what?
I don't know, but that'll get him out of here anyway. I think I can do it alone, Helen.
Listen, Jimmy, we're in this mess because of me. And I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you.
For Suspense, Roma Wines are bringing you Elliot Reed in Dead of Night. Roma Wines' presentation tonight in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Presented by Roma, R-O-M-A, Roma Wines, those better tasting wines that come from California's finest vineyards to enrich your table, to enhance the hospitality of your home. To bring you better tasting wine, Roma selects and presses California's choicest grapes. Then Roma vintners with ancient skill and winemaking resources, unmatched in America, guide this sun-drenched grape treasure unhurriedly to tempting taste perfection. These fine wines are placed with other Roma wines of years before, and from these reserves, the world's greatest reserves of fine wine, Roma later selects for your enjoyment. Now you can enjoy the premium quality of your favorite Roma California wine at savings up to 20%. Tomorrow, as a special after-dinner treat, try rich Roma Port or mellow Muscatel. Be sure to ask for Roma, America's favorite wine.
And now, Roma Wines bring back to our Hollywood soundstage Elliot Reed as Jimmy Barton, with Kathy Lewis as Helen, in Dead of Night, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
When I went into the bathroom, the shower curtains were standing open. His legs had slipped from their cramped position, and they'd pushed themselves into the room. He sat there with his head twisted down and his chin digging into his chest. I took a washcloth and it was awful. I wiped the blood off his face. Just in case anyone saw us, they might think he was just sick. Then I tried to lift him, but I slipped, and his head made a hollow sound as it thumped down on the shower floor. Helen helped me get him into the luggage compartment of the car.
Where are we going, Jimmy?
Helen, won't you stay in the apartment, please?
No, I couldn't. I'm going with you.
All right, come on.
Lucky it's so foggy.
Yeah. What time is it?
5 or 7.
The fog will be clearing soon. It'll be harder getting him out of the car
Jimmy.
than... What?
Jimmy, there's a Santa Monica Pier. You can drive cars out to the end of it. Maybe we
Yeah.
can...
It's worth a try anyway. We'll have to act fast. That fog's clearing. You stay here. I can manage alone this time.
I'll help you, Jimmy.
You stay here this time.
All right. Call me if you need me.
I'll go around to the back. Keep your eyes open.
All right. Jimmy, someone's coming.
Who is it?
I can't see it. Jimmy, it's a policeman.
What?
It's a policeman. Jimmy.
Oh, it's Slugger Vanda. He's patrolman on the pier. Hal. Hello, Slugger.
Well, when do you get your sleep, Jimmy? While you're working?
Yeah, Slugger. But I couldn't seem to remember if I'd locked up the old shooting gallery. So I came over this morning to have a look around.
Oh, I see.
This is my sister, Slugger. Helen, this is Slugger Vanda.
How do you do?
Hello. Well, you're an early riser, too, huh?
Yes.
Well, the fog's clearing up. Looks like we're going to get some sun today for a change.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll be getting back. Think I'll try and catch a few more hours sleep. So long.
Yeah, so long. Oh, say, Jimmy.
Yeah?
Say, Jim, I have to take my wife over to a nursery today and pick up some plants and stuff, and I don't have a trunk on my car. I wonder if you let me use your car.
Why, you have to drive me over to Malibu this afternoon, Jimmy.
Yeah, I'd forgotten.
Well, you can drive over in my car. How's that?
Well, you see...
Your brother thinks I'll wreck that beautiful car?
Oh, it isn't that, Slugger.
Okay, then, okay. I'll be over about noon. I'll leave my car for you till I get back.
I won't be home at noon, Slugger.
Well, then I'll meet you at the entrance to the pier. How's that?
All right, Slugger.
Okay.
Why'd you say you'd meet him?
Oh, if I don't, he'll go over to the apartment looking for you. I mean, for us. And I don't want a policeman going over there.
Oh.
As we drove along the ocean, the fog cleared up rapidly. It was almost 8 o'clock, and some kids were already out on the beach playing around. Then I saw a group of early picnickers. They were unloading their blankets and umbrellas and things. I guess it was from them that I got the idea. From seeing them. Listen, Helen, I'm going to let you out of this car. You can't help me with what I have to do now.
No. Jimmy, I'm staying with you.
Don't argue, Helen.
I'm not leaving you, Jimmy.
We can't go back to the apartment with the painters there, and we can't leave him in the car. Slugger's liable to see us and pin us down to using it. There's only one place left.
Where, Jimmy?
Helen, get out of this car, do you hear?
Well, but Jimmy,
I haven't time to argue with you. Get out.
I won't do it, Jimmy.
Yes, you will. If I have to push you out.
Jimmy, you're hurting me.
There. Now, go back to the apartment. Get off that running board, Helen.
I can't leave you alone, Jimmy. I want to help you.
I'm not blaming you for killing him, Helen. But now you've got to do as I say.
What? What did you say?
I don't blame you for what you did. He deserved it. But now you've got to help me handle things.
Jimmy, you've got to let me explain.
Goodbye, Helen.
Jimmy!
I watched her out of the mirror. She kept calling me. I drove on as fast as I could. I knew that what I was going to do was one chance in a million. But I knew I had to take it. And I didn't want her to be part of it. If I could keep him on the beach that whole day, then maybe I'd be able to get rid of him when night fell. It wasn't until after I stopped that I realized I'd driven right back to a strip of beach not far from the apartment. I had my swimming shorts and a blanket and a towel in the car, and I got out. I looked around carefully, and then I opened the luggage compartment. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done in my life. But I started taking his clothes off. I managed to get my shorts onto him. Lucky we were pretty near the same size. Then I closed the door, and I went out onto the beach, and I spread my blanket out on the sand. And I went back for him. When there were no cars in sight, I carried him over to where I'd spread my blanket, and I placed him on it, face down, with his hands folded over his head as though we were sunbathing. Then I spread my towel out a short distance from him, and I laid down on it, and I tried to look relaxed. People didn't start to arrive until about an hour later, and gradually little groups of sunbathers started to form. He and I, we looked no different from the others. No one paid any attention to us. And I was beginning to feel that everything was going to be easy once it was dark again.
Jimmy,
but...
I've been looking all over for you.
What? Oh, hello, Mrs. Gordon.
Where's Helen?
Isn't she in the apartment?
Well, no. And what time did you go out this morning?
I couldn't sleep.
Say, didn't Helen come in at all last night?
Oh, yes, she did. But she left early, too. Said she was going into Los Angeles.
Oh, and I left her a note to tell her I was going down to the beach today. I was so worried about her. Say, the painters came, Jimmy, and everything's a mess. You know, I think I'll just sit here with you for a while. You're not with anyone, are you?
No, I'm not.
Wish I brought some oil along. Looks like it's going to be a hot day. These things, these days that start off foggy are deceiving, you know.
Yeah, they are.
This is a real treat for me, Jimmy. I never get out on the beach. I think I'll have a nice day of rest for a change. Later we can get some sandwiches. The treat's on me.
Oh, Mrs. Gordon, no. I hadn't planned on spending the day at the beach.
It'll be good for you, Jimmy. Not healthy for a boy your age to be working all night and sleeping all day.
But, Mrs. Gordon, Oh.
Say, Jimmy, you know that man over there?
Which one?
That one right there.
No, I don't know him.
He's lying so still. His back's going to get an awful burn.
Yeah.
You suppose he's asleep? Say, it isn't good to sleep in the sun.
Mrs. Gordon, will the painters be finished by this afternoon?
Well, I hope so. You know, a person can get an awful burn on a day like this. Somebody ought to speak to him.
Mrs. Gordon, wouldn't you like to go for a walk?
Oh, I'm not one for walking. You can go ahead if you like.
Well,
Come on, Dick, pitch it over here.
Oh, those kids. You children, stop that. You're getting sand all over me.
Sorry, lady.
There's no need to play ball here. There's a playground over by the pier. Now get away from here.
Ah, don't pay no attention to her. She don't own the beach. Pitch it over here.
Oh, we hit that guy in the beezer.
Now, see what they've done. They've hit that poor man. Now they'll get what's coming to them.
Mrs. Gordon, are you sure you don't want to go up and get some sandwiches or something? I'll stay
Not until I see those two hoodlums get what they deserve.
Sorry, mister. Can we have our ball?
Look at that. Ball's right in the crook of that man's arm. He's pretending he's asleep. He's not going to hand it to them. But just wait till they reach for it. He'll give them something besides their ball.
Hey, mister, could we...
Ah, what are you waiting for, Dickie? It's our ball. Just take it. Go on, take it. Here, I'll get it. Thanks, mister. For you.
What's the matter?
Hey, he's cold. What did you say? He's cold, lady. His arm's like ice. I just touched him.
Why don't you...
Well, you probably hurt him.
Ah, little ball like this couldn't hurt nobody.
Well, nevertheless, it did. Here, let's have a look.
And then she started moving toward him. I knew it was useless to try and stop her. And she reached over and put her hand on his back. And suddenly she was screaming.
This man, Jimmy! This man's dead!
Before long, there was a crowd of people around us. And someone called the police. I wanted to run, but I knew that would be the wrong thing to do. So I stayed there, numb-like, watching things. When the police came, they started questioning everyone. Mrs. Gordon was first.
But he'd been there all morning. I came early, and he was here already, just like that, with his face down, just like he was sunbathing.
Was there anyone else around when you arrived?
Well, yes, Jimmy was here. He was here all alone with him, weren't you, Jimmy?
Yes. Yes, I was.
Doesn't anyone know the man? Hey, I told you kids to keep away, do you hear?
Ah, we discovered him, didn't we? If it hadn't have been for us,
Yeah. You don't even know a clue when you see one. Look at his fingernails.
See, the child's right, officer. Look.
What's that? Let's see. It looks like powder, something flaky. You sure none of you people around here recognize him?
Well, I've never seen him. Officer, that blanket he's lying on, it's from my motel.
Yeah?
See? It's stamped right under where you moved his hand. Seaside Motor Cabins.
You sure he wasn't registered?
I'm positive.
Is there anyone around here from your motel?
Look, Jimmy. Here comes Helen. She's crying.
Mrs. Gordon, I asked you if there's anybody around here from your motel.
Well, yes, just Jimmy Barton here. And that girl, she's his sister. They've been with us for several weeks.
And suddenly everyone was looking at me and at Helen as she ran towards us. And like a fool, I too started to run in Helen's direction to ward her off. I didn't get far, though, for someone caught me by the arm.
Jimmy, I've been looking all over for you.
Don't say anything, Helen. Let me do the talking. Don't say anything.
Jimmy, when you forced me out of the car this morning, you said you didn't blame me for having killed him.
Helen, be still. Don't.
Jimmy, I didn't kill him. I thought you had. I was helping you get rid of him because I thought you'd done it.
Helen, are you telling the truth?
I swear it, Jimmy. Phil and I were quarreling. He'd been taking something again. He was just like he was crazy. And I knew there'd be trouble when you came home from work, so I got out the back way and I went looking for you on the pier, and when I couldn't find you, I went back to the apartment and I found him on the floor. I thought you'd...
But Helen, why didn't you say so?
You didn't give me a chance, Jimmy. You just took it for granted that I...
Then who did kill him, Helen?
That's what I'm trying to tell you. Nobody killed him.
What are you talking about?
I went to the apartment a little while ago to wait for you, and While I was there, I remembered about Phil last night. How strangely he'd acted, Jimmy, and how he'd almost fallen several times while we were quarreling. And then I saw the gas heater, Jimmy. There was a sharp edge on the top of it with blood on it. He must have fallen. He must have.
But, Helen, we've no way of proving that.
There was something else, Jimmy. The wall above the heater was scratched. There might be fingerprints. There might be.
Officer.
Yeah?
That flaky stuff you found under his fingernails. That might have been plaster.
Uh-huh. I think we better get down to the station.
Oh, Jimmy, they've got to believe us.
Don't cry, Helen. As long as we know that we didn't do it, that's all that matters. Everything's going to be all right. Don't cry anymore. Well, that's about it. Lucky for us, everything checked pretty well back at the motel, and the autopsy showed he was full of some kind of drug. They call it highly toxic. But I guess it was really Mrs. Gordon who saved our necks for us. Besides talking so loud and so long that they'd have probably acquitted us just to be rid of her, she did dig up a witness who'd heard Helen and Phil quarreling and who'd seen Helen leave alone after he'd threatened her. Well, everything's all right now. Helen and I are beginning to forget. But it's Mrs. Gordon who's making quite a nuisance of herself on the beach these days as she goes along poking all the sunbathers and asking if they're sure they're all right.
Now we will hear from the star of tonight's show, Mr. Elliot Reed.
Thank you very much. It was a great pleasure to appear on tonight's broadcast of Suspense. For the next 3 weeks, Suspense will originate from New York, when you will hear Eva Le Gallion, Alan Baxter, and Gloria Swanson. Good night.
Tonight's Suspense play was written by Mel Donnelly. Next Thursday, same time, you will hear Miss Eva Le Gallion as star of Suspense. Produced by William Spear for the Roma Wine Company of Fresno, California.
Among Americans whose wine cellars are superbly stocked, the choice is Cresta, Blanca, Cresta Blanca, Cresta Blanca. Yes, the best serve Cresta Blanca California wines from the finest of the vines. As the perfect prelude to dining or for distinguished entertaining, serve a Cresta Blanca sherry. They're among the great sherries of the world, and there's one for every taste, every occasion. Your dealer features these famous sherries, as well as other choice Cresta Blanca wines, at unusually attractive prices. Shenley's Cresta Blanca Wine Company, Livermore, California.
Listen to Suspense next week, same time, same station. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
By transcription.
Yes, more Americans enjoy Roma than any other wine because Roma wines taste better. Taste better because only Roma selects from the world's greatest reserves of fine wines for your pleasure. And now, Roma Wines of Fresno, California, that's R-O-M-A, Roma Wines bring you Suspense.
Tonight from New York, Roma Wines present Miss Eva Le Gallion, distinguished star of the New York stage in Phobia, a suspense play produced, edited, and directed for Shenley by William Spear.
Suspense, radio's outstanding theater thrills, is brought to you by Roma, R-O-M-A, Roma Wines, the greatest name in wine. There's nothing like the tantalizing aroma of juicy or the taste of spicy cold cuts and crispy cool salad served outdoors. And to make warm weather dishes more tempting, serve tall, frosty glasses of Roma wine and soda. Yes, Roma wine and soda is ideal with summer meals or anytime friends drop in. Simply half-filled glasses with your favorite Roma California wine. robust Roma Burgundy, or fragrant Sauterne. Fill with ice and soda, garnish and sweeten to taste. Try refreshing Roma wine and soda. It's inexpensive and always better tasting with Roma, America's favorite wine. Now, Roma Wines bring you Eva Le Gallienne in a remarkable tale of suspense.
Yes, I'm the Emily Haven whose pictures you saw in the papers. You can tell, of course, by the wheelchair. I thought it was very unkind of them to take full-length pictures. It isn't that I resent the wheelchair, but people have funny ideas about such things. The way they wrote about me being a sweet little lady, you'd have thought I was at least 100 and a helpless invalid. Well, I can tell you right now I'm neither. I'm not supposed to have any excitement, but goodness knows we've had enough of that around here with the murder and all. You probably wonder why, with all our money, I don't have one of those new type modern chairs. It's just that I can't stand the feel of metal. No metal. It affects me like snakes or spiders do some people. I've always been that way. When I was a child, Mother let me use knives and forks with bone handles, and I still use them. I'm certainly glad that the papers didn't find out about that or about Grace. They almost found out about Grace once and printed large headlines. Police question wealthy woman. You probably don't remember it because they never did learn why she was questioned. That was some time ago. Grace had just returned from shopping.
Emily, I'm home.
In here, Grace. Did you bring my book?
Yes, here you are. And I brought another one I thought you'd like. I'm tired.
Sit down. We'll have Anna bring some tea. Let's have a look at your loot.
What do you mean by that?
Why, the things you bought, of course.
Oh, I guess I'm so tired I'm jumpy.
Come.
There's two gentlemen to see you, Mum.
Oh, bring some hot tea, please, Anna. Do you like something to eat, Grace?
Not till dinner.
Just tea, then, Anna, and show the gentleman in.
Yes, Mum. Why don't we let her go and get someone who doesn't answer yes, Mum, to everything?
Well, you know we couldn't replace Anna. She knows us too well.
Why do you say that?
Well, you are jumpy. I only meant that she knows our likes and dislikes and humors us.
I suppose you're right. But I don't like the way she watches us.
Oh, that's just Anna's way. She doesn't mean anything by it.
Miss Haven.
Yes?
I am Henry Lane. I'm assistant store manager at Bradlock's.
Oh, yes, Mr. Lane?
One of our store detectives observed your sister's unusual actions today and reported them to Sergeant Cole. Oh, pardon me, this is Sergeant Cole.
How do you do? I didn't want to turn it in till I talked to Lane here.
Yes. Yes, Sergeant Cole wisely came to me, and we are here to rectify the error.
I'm afraid I don't follow you, Mr. Lane.
I'm sure there's a satisfactory explanation to your sister's behavior.
Well, get to the point.
What he's trying to say is that I took some things from the store without paying for them.
Grace!
That's what was reported to me.
You admit that you took these things?
I just admitted it.
Why, Grace?
Impulse, I guess.
But you have plenty of money.
I know. I think that's what starts the impulse.
You mean you've had the impulse before?
Is that an official or a social question?
Well, don't be flippant.
I'm not. The whole thing is a farce. We've always gotten everything we want by signing a check, and we'll continue to do so. Do you think if I were anyone else, we'd be sitting here like this?
Miss Haven,
No, I'd be sitting in jail waiting to be questioned.
I'm at a loss.
I've taken things before and probably will again. Mostly I don't even want the things. It's the thrill of taking them.
You've said enough, Grace.
Are you going to arrest me now, Sergeant?
Arrest you?
Grace, will you see if Anna's made tea and bring 2 extra cups?
And a checkbook?
Grace.
I'm sorry.
This comes as a shock to me.
Beats anything I ever heard.
Believe me, I regret having to trouble you like this.
Oh, you've been very considerate. I'm sure we can rectify the entire matter. If you'd care to estimate the amount.
It sounds like a bribe.
No,
lady.
no, not at all. Let us say retribution.
Oh, I don't know.
I feel that it's only right that you should receive something for your time and regard, Sergeant.
I don't know, lady.
I don't want to press charges, of
And
course.
in the future, Mr. Lane, if you will assign someone to watch my sister when she's shopping in your store, you may send the bill for the unpaid items to me.
Yes. There may be a slight fee.
Oh, yes, I understand. Now, if you'll hand me my pen and checkbook.
Of course.
Thank you. Now, let me see. There. There you are.
Miss Haven,
I think I hear Anna coming with the tea. It was a dreary tea. There were little frosted cakes. Sergeant Cole dropped crumbs all over the rug. And Mr. Lane said, between noisy sips. Grace seemed to enjoy it, though. She sat and watched one and then the other. She has an unusual sense of humor. That was the way Mr. Lane started coming to our house. I don't know how it happened, but eventually we were calling him Henry. He was pleasant enough, and I think we might have been friends if he hadn't learned about me, too, entirely by accident. He'd been bringing up presents from the store, and although I suspected that he'd gotten them in the same manner that Grace did, it was a nice, thoughtful thing to do. One night when he came, he was feeling playful.
Well, how are the two lovely ladies tonight?
Oh, very well, thank you, Henry.
Isn't he gallant tonight?
It isn't difficult to be gallant with you.
Now put your heels together and kiss our hands.
Oh, Grace.
Want to see what I brought for you?
Yes, Uncle Henry.
Uncle? Oh, you have such a charming way of jesting.
Yes, we do have our little jokes.
Don't tease, Henry.
Show us what you brought.
You shall be surprised first.
How nice.
And I will put it on you. Now turn around with your back to me. No, don't look. There.
A necklace. A silver necklace. Just what I wanted.
Very attractive on you, Grace.
Thank you, Henry.
And now for Emily.
Oh, don't ask me to turn my back.
No. Just hold out your hand. Close your eyes and hold out your hand.
Oh, that seems so childish, Henry.
Play the game.
Oh, very well.
Are you ready? There.
Henry! No!
Emily. Emily, what is the matter? It's only a silver compact.
It's the metal. I can't stand the feel of metal. May sound silly, and it may be silly, but I do think my phobia saved my life. As you know, we have a large amount of silver in the house, and although I have an aversion to touching it, I like to see it around. Grace is always bringing home some piece. It reminds me, I wonder if she... Oh, no matter. Oh, I'm awfully tired. So awfully tired. Would you excuse me a moment? I think I'll just have to lie down for a moment. Yes.
For Suspense, Roma Wines are bringing you Eva Le Gallienne in Phobia. Roma Wines' presentation tonight in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Presented by Roma, R-O-M-A, Roma Wines, those better-tasting California wines that add so much to the daily joy of good living. There's a reason why Roma wines are so much better tasting. The better taste of Roma begins with the lush goodness of choice California grapes, tenderly pressed and guided unhurriedly with the ancient skill of Roma master vintners and America's greatest winemaking resources. Then these Roma wines are placed with mellow Roma wines of years before. And from these precious reserves, the world's greatest reserves of fine wines, Roma later brings you those better-tasting Roma wines, America's favorite wines. Tomorrow, add the sparkle of genius to dinner. Delight your family or guests with robust Roma California Burgundy or fragrant Roma Sauterne. Now, at new low prices, Roma table wines are more than ever your best buy in better taste. That's why more Americans enjoy Roma than any other wine.
And now, Roma Wines bring back to our New York soundstage Eva Le Gallienne as Emily Haven in Phobia. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Oh, yes. Where was I? Oh, well. One night, Grace was out for the evening, and Anna had gone to bed. I was sitting here in my chair reading. Suddenly, I thought I heard someone moving in the hall. I called out, but no one answered, so I thought it was my imagination. And then I heard it again. I sat very still, listening, and watching the hall door. As I watched, the knob began to turn. Someone was slowly pulling the door open. Anna! Grace! Anna, is that you? Answer me. What? Who are you? Why do you have your face covered?
Keep quiet.
I will not keep quiet. What do you have in that case?
I said keep quiet.
Silver. Oh, that's our silver.
I don't want no trouble with you.
You put that silver back or you'll have trouble. I'll phone the police. I'll call for help.
This says you won't.
Don't point that gun at me. You can't scare me with that. I haven't long to live anyway.
You ain't gonna have long to live if you don't stop that yapping.
Stay where you are. Do you hear me? Stay away.
Now, look here, sister. I ain't kidding.
Now, you look here. You ought to be ashamed, a great big man with a gun robbing a helpless lady in a wheelchair.
I warned you.
Besides that, you're very rude. Take your hat off in the house.
Say, what is this?
If you want to come into my house, you learn some manners and then knock on the door. Now, set that silver down and leave the room.
Looks like I'm going to have to tie something over your face until I can get away.
Don't you touch me. Don't touch.
What is it, Mom?
A man.
A man? What man? What did he do?
The gun. The metal. He touched my neck with his gun. Anna became very excited and called the police. Heaven knows why. The man was gone and he had left the silver. I put her in her place by having her wash all the silverware and put it away. Sergeant Cole was furious when he came. It seems that he wanted to check for fingerprints. He was mollified, however, when he found fingerprints on the silver cabinet. I hadn't thought of that, so Anna had to wash that, too. Sergeant Cole came back to tell us that the fingerprints belonged to a man by the name of Mr. Scorchy Hood. He was wanted by the police because he had escaped from some penitentiary and was what Sergeant Cole called a killer. Mr. Hood was called Scorchy because he always shot people from close range and usually in the neck. Sergeant Cole thought it was very amusing when I said if he was going to kill me, he would have to stand back. I wouldn't have him touch me with that gun. Did you read those uncouth headlines in the papers? Wealthy woman match for murderer. Haven defeats Hood. They made me sound like a pugilist. The papers are so unkind to people with money. One morning, Anna came into the room without knocking, so I said, Anna, I didn't ring.
I've got to talk to you, Mom.
Very well, Anna. What is it?
It's about my brooch, the one my mother gave me.
Well, what about your brooch?
It's gone, Mom.
You mean you lost it?
No, I didn't lose it. It was in my room, and now it's gone.
Well, you probably mislaid it.
No, I didn't, Mom. I always keep it pinned to my Sunday dress, and it's not there.
I don't see how I can help you.
I thought maybe you'd like to replace it.
Oh? What kind of pin was it?
It was a cameo. But this time I thought I'd like to have one with some diamonds and little pearls.
I don't understand.
I've been cleaning Miss Grace's room, and she's got a lot of strange stuff there that nobody knows how she come by.
Huh.
She's even got a gun.
You've been snooping, Anna?
Just cleaning, Mom. I did kind of look for my brooch.
I see.
Do you want your pen, Miss Emily?
Oh, yes, Anna. Hand me my pen. Thank you. Let me see. There you are. Do you think that will replace the brooch?
Oh, yes, Mom. Thank you, Mom.
Well, payday in the middle of the month?
Yes. I mean, no, just a little...
Token, Miss Grace. Token of what?
Let's call it pin money. That will be all, Anna.
Thank you, Mom. Now, Mom, you tell me what this is all about.
It's nothing, Grace, really.
When you sign a check, it can't be classified as nothing.
It was a pin for Anna.
That isn't very funny, Emily. Pin money for a pin? What about a pin?
She, lost it.
Lost it? Oh, I see.
Now, let's not talk about it anymore, Grace.
But I want to talk about it. Poor dear, anyone can get money from you, can't they?
Grace, please.
I may have my impulses, but I've never taken anything from the servants yet.
Grace, where are you going? What are you going to do?
To collect and deliver. You just purchased a pin, and I'm going to find it and wear it.
Grace is so impulsive. She's always been good to me. She brings me nice surprises. Sometimes I get a bill for them. And when I don't, I enjoy them even more. Grace is really very serious-minded, and she worries about trifles like leaving me alone with Henry. Henry never was dull, always full of new ideas. I've never told her that he proposed to me. It came as a complete surprise. We were sitting before the fire.
Emily, I need more money.
I gave you a check last week, Henry, for your relief fund. It isn't very clear in my mind what relief fund that was for.
Well, that doesn't matter now. The point is that I need a great deal more money.
What is it for this time?
For me, Emily.
Oh, Henry, you disappoint me. So much more fun when you try to fool me.
Oh, I'm tired of that. I think I'd like to marry into the family.
Well, that's out of the question. I'm sure Grace would never consider it.
Grace?
Who else? Good heavens, you don't mean...
Oh, yes. You, Emily.
Now, why would you want to marry a woman in a wheelchair?
Well, you just gave the reason. You haven't long to live, Emily. After you're gone, as your husband, I'd inherit a
I think you'd better go, Henry.
Go? Not until I've had my answer.
What kind of proposal is that? Will you and your money marry me? Oh, no. You'll have to do better than that.
Perhaps I can.
Henry, what are you doing with that candlestick?
I'm going to persuade you.
Oh, you can beat me to death. I won't change my mind.
You misunderstand, Emily. I'm not going to beat you. I'm going to caress you with it.
Henry,
your
you
hands,
wouldn't.
Your arms, your throat, your back, perhaps.
No, Henry. No. Now listen to me. Let's talk.
I don't want to talk. I want to caress you.
No, keep away. Don't touch me. Keep away. I will. Put the candlestick down.
Very well. I don't like to excite you like this. It isn't good for you.
How soon do you want to be married, Henry?
Immediately? How about tomorrow?
So soon?
When you make up your mind to do something, why wait?
I suppose you're right. Oh, I would like some tea. Henry, would you...
Shall I ring for Anna?
Oh, she's asleep by now. Why don't you get it?
Yes, leave it to me. Just leave everything to me.
I was annoyed at Henry for his crassness. It was very tiresome of him to be so crude. I wheeled my chair about the room. I have a habit of doing that when I'm disturbed. Presently, I heard Henry returning with the tea. Door opened a little. And then there was that deafening explosion of a gun. The house was filled with echoes. The door stood motionless for a moment, then slammed shut. I was too stunned to move. I just sat and looked at the door. I tried once to open it, but it wouldn't budge. I was still sitting there when the police came. It wasn't Sergeant Cole. It was a new man called Inspector Wells. I think there was a man with him, but I'm a little confused about that night. Henry had been shot and was lying against the door. That was why the door wouldn't open. The gun was on the floor beside him. The inspector asked a lot of questions, and everyone talked at once. I'll tell you like I told him. After the shot, I don't remember hearing footsteps or the door outside close. It may have happened, but I was too excited to remember. Anna tried to make the inspector believe that Grace had killed Henry. She told him about the gun. Anna has spells of being difficult. I think it's because of the pin. she doesn't like Grace to wear it. They took Henry away, and we went to bed. The hall was a mess. We had to have the carpet cleaned, and there are still some tea stains on the walls. The next morning I made a discovery that I thought would interest the inspector, so I phoned him, and he came right out.
Morning, Miss Haven.
Oh, come in, Inspector.
You say you found a brooch in the hall?
Yes, this one. Under a chair, Inspector.
Do you know who it belongs to?
To our maid, Anna.
Kind of fancy for a maid, isn't it? Diamonds and small pearls.
Emily bought it for her.
That's quite a gift.
We like to keep our help satisfied.
I'd like to talk to her.
I'll call her.
Who killed Henry, Inspector?
Don't know yet. We're having the gun checked for fingerprints.
Is that all the police do? Check fingerprints?
You ring, Mum.
Yes, Anna, come in. The inspector wants to ask you some questions.
Yes, Mum.
Did you see Henry Lane last night?
You mean while he was alive?
Yes. Did you see him before he was shot?
Only for a minute.
When was that?
I heard a noise in the kitchen, and I looked in to see who it was.
That was when he went for the tea.
Trust Anna to look in.
Did you speak to him?
Maybe a few words.
Did you like Mr. Lane?
Like him? I did not. He was no gentleman.
Why do you say that, Anna?
He used to say unkind things to me.
Is this your pin?
Why, yes. Where'd you get it?
It was found under a chair in the hall.
It couldn't have been. I didn't have it on last night.
You mean you weren't wearing it when you shot him?
Shot him? Oh, my goodness, you don't think I shot him?
Right now, we suspect everyone.
I didn't kill him. Honest, I didn't. Oh, please, tell him I didn't, Mom. You tell him.
Oh, Inspector, it's just occurred to me. I've made a horrible mistake. I remember now that I saw Anna wearing that pin when she served breakfast this morning.
So? She couldn't have dropped it last night. Oh, thank you, Mom. Thank you.
I don't think the inspector was convinced when he left. He didn't say he wasn't. He looked unconvinced. Was kind of a fib, but it was worth it. Anna has been an angel ever since. She cleans Grace's room and never sees a thing. She even returns some things that Grace didn't know were missing. I gave Anna the pin, and she put it back on her Sunday dress. The inspector phoned around noon. He was very excited. He said the blurred fingerprints on the gun belonged to Mr. Scorchy Hood, and that we should be very careful, as he hadn't been caught and he was dangerous. I asked him how we should go about being careful. He said to lock the doors and windows, and they would send a man to watch the house. I didn't think we needed to worry, for somehow I couldn't believe Mr. Scorchy Hood wanted to hear me scream again. But about 10 o'clock, Grace and I were sitting here discussing Humphrey Bogart when the hall door opened.
Don't move.
I've no intention of moving. What do you want?
Shut up, sister.
Don't call me sister. My name is Emily, and this is my sister Grace.
How do you do?
This ain't no social call.
I'm glad to see you've uncovered your face. I don't know why you should cover it. It really isn't an unpleasant face at all.
Don't start. It won't do you no good.
Did you come to kill us?
You guessed it, sister.
Grace.
Grace. Hey, what are you doing to me? Trying to confuse me?
Why should you want to kill us, Mr. Hood?
Because you made people laugh at me. The papers made fun of me. I can't stand that.
Well, it seems to me you brought it on yourself. You came uninvited in the first place.
What kind of talk is that? Sure I did, and I come the same way this time.
If you're going to kill me, you'll have to stand away from me. You see, I have a phobia.
A what?
A phobia. It's something I can't help.
Oh.
Why don't you stand over there?
Why?
On account of my phobia. It would be better if you stood there.
Here?
No, a little farther.
Now?
Yes, I think that's better. Oh, Grace, will you straighten the rug?
Never mind.
It worked. I guess she's unconscious. I'll call the man across the street.
Oh, Grace, look what you've done. When he hit his head on the table, he spilled the flowers. Now that water will make white spots on the varnish. You know the rest, how Mr. Hood was wanted for several murders, so they executed him. I'm rather sorry it's all over. Seems dull around here now, and I did so want to enjoy my last days. The doctor says I've only 6 months at the most. I haven't told Grace my time is so short. It would cause her to fret. Grace worries so. That's why I didn't tell her that I took the gun and shot Henry as he opened the door, and then tossed the gun into the hall before he slumped against the door and pushed it shut. I hadn't even told her that Mr. Scorchy Hood dropped his gun that time when I screamed. You see, I didn't handle the gun with my shawl to save his fingerprints. It's just that I can't stand the feel of metal. Can't stand the feel of metal. They've been so kind, everybody. Here, I mean, in the prison hospital. Oh, you must excuse me. I'm so drowsy. They've let me have my own bed even from home. I couldn't lie on the prison cot they have, you know, with the metal and all.
Suspense. Tonight, Roma Wines have brought you Miss Eva Le Gallienne in Phobia, a suspense play written by Joel Hunt. Next Thursday, same time, you will hear Mr. Alan Baxter as star of Suspense. Produced for Shanley by William Spear. In the coming weeks, Suspense will present such stars as Alan Baxter, Gloria Swanson, and others. Make it a point to listen each Thursday to Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills.
Wherever discriminating people dine, you'll find CRESTA, BLANCA, Cresta Blanca, Cresta Blanca. Yes, famous Cresta Blanca wines are served on America's finest ships, trains, and planes, in its most distinguished hotels, restaurants, and homes. Make your dining and entertaining outstanding with the famous Cresta Blanca California sherry or port, now most attractively priced.
The preceding program was transcribed. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Tonight, Roma Wines bring you Miss June Havoc in Stand-In, a suspense play produced, edited, and directed for Shenley by William Spear. Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills, is presented for your enjoyment by Roma Wines. That's R-O-M-A, Roma Wines. Those better tasting California wines enjoyed by more Americans than any other wine in the world. And thanks to this tremendous popularity, you can now serve Roma wine more often. Roma prices have been reduced to save you money on every bottle you and your friends enjoy. We'll tell you more about this money-saving opportunity later on. And now, Roma Wines bring you Miss June Havoc in a remarkable tale of suspense.
She's here, Diana. Get WC. Tell him, will you? And Jensen, take on those 40 Western Union boys that were supposed to come out and sing "Here Comes the Bride."
Very good, sir.
And everybody take it easy now. Keep calm. What do you want to do? Give her a nervous breakdown?
This way, boys. Hello, darlings. Hello, everybody. Madame is home again.
I was always the way with Madame. A grand entrance for her and utter confusion for everybody else. She was rotten spoiled. But what could you do? On the screen, she looked like an angel. And she was the top box office draw of the biggest studio in Hollywood. Everybody heard the story by now, of course. That is, the 9-day wonders version that the newspapers carried. But there are only 2 people in the world who know the real story. And I'm one of them. You see, I was her stand-in. This particular little caper all began just before her latest picture was supposed to go in front of the cameras. And she suddenly decided she simply couldn't bear to be making only $10,000 for a whole week's work, and took off for Florida. Nobody heard a word of her for 2 months, except in the newspapers. Little things like she'd married her 5th husband and lost $40,000 in one night at roulette, and bought an old Spanish monastery and was going to bring it back to Hollywood, stone by stone. And then all of a sudden, she was coming back. That very day, with husband and monastery and everything, and everybody had to jump. The retinue had been waiting all afternoon and going not so quietly crazy, particularly Mike Foss, her publicity agent, and me. I was having a whole duplicate set of dresses fitted so we could start the picture the minute she got back. She swept in, and I took a look at the new husband. And the minute I saw him, I knew there was going to be trouble, because he wasn't taking it well. He wasn't taking it at all well.
Madame, for the love of Pete, where have you been? W.C.'s been blowing his top all day, and the newspaper boys are
Michael, darling, everything's been taken care of. I sent W.C. a big box of orchids from the airport. And I brought a few of the newspaper boys along with
You
me.
did?
Hello,
Listen,
Pogo, darling.
I want to talk to you. First, I wanted to give
By the way, everybody, this is my new husband, Dennis O'Brien. He flew me out. We bought a little four-seater. Isn't he gorgeous? Gorgeous. Such an improvement on Romano, doesn't it? Say hello to the folks, Denny, huh?
Hello?
Say, how about a couple of nice pictures of the bride and groom, huh?
Oh, well, darling, I think that's a splendid idea.
good.
Come on, Dennis. Come on, a little to one side, I think, darling. Leaning over, perhaps. That's right. Not too far into the picture.
Anywhere you say.
There. Now, isn't that about right, boys?
That's fine. Now, one of you alone, madame.
Oh, certainly. You can go now, Dennis. I'll join you a little later, darling. Just look around the house. Make yourself at home.
Thanks.
Hold it, madame. Thank you. Goodbye.
That's all right.
Madame, I was wondering about your hair. Are you going to wear it up in the cathedral scene?
I am Trey Beat. Lawrence and our miners' party was beaucoup.
Madame,
Really.
Madame, I wondered...
Diana, darling, I hardly noticed you. How are the new dresses coming? That one you have on looks lovely, dear.
Well, thank
you look
you.
lovely, too.
Well, thanks, Madame. I was wondering
please,
if...
will you go? Diana, dear, I shall have to go and have that awful ordeal with W.C. and the Schwartzes will be
Well,
here.
certainly.
Oh.
Good night, Madame. You see what I mean? I won't say I didn't hate her, because I did. But I was used to it by now. It was a living, and better than pounding a typewriter or getting mauled in a modeling agency. I made my way back through the big, gloomy house to the study where I'd left my things. As I opened the door, I saw her husband, Dennis. He was standing with his back to me in the semi-darkness, looking out the big French windows that lead to the formal garden. He turned his head a little when I came in, and then back again, staring out the window. But even from where I stood, I could see that his big shoulders were bunched into knots.
I could kill you when you're like that, Maggie. What do you think I am, one of your Great Danes that you're going to haul around on a leash and put through parlor tricks?
But
I'm not listening now, Maggie. I'm telling you. Now, cut it out, or so help me some night I'll murder you.
Well, sorry, Mr. O'Brien. I didn't mean it.
Oh, I thought it was Maggie.
Oh, so I gather.
Excuse me.
Oh, that's all right. Forget it. I know you didn't mean it.
No. That's where you're wrong, sister.
Oh?
I meant every word of it.
I looked at him, handsome, weak, and violent. And I think I saw it all right then. For one split second, a flash of intuition, the future lit up in front of me like a marquee sign, a sign in big red letters that said, murder.
Suspense, Roma Wines are bringing you June Havoc in Stand-In.
I don't have the right face for the screen, but I've got everything else. And Denny knew it. I didn't keep it a secret from him either. Not that I had to flaunt it at him. He was married to a slightly sagging movie queen, at least 10 years older than I was. And he was only human. Not that I said anything either. For a week I hardly spoke to him. First because it was smart. And then, being Madame's stand-in, because I was busy. There was all the flurry of getting the picture started, costumes and tests and so on, and finally the Academy Award dinner. Perhaps...
Let him wait.
Yeah, but yesterday you said that you wanted...
Yesterday I said one thing. Today I am working. Now shut up and leave me alone.
Don't talk to me that way, Maggie.
What?
I'm your husband, remember?
Yes. And I've had about all of that I can stand, too. Now you get out of here. Do you hear me? Get out of here.
Okay, Maggie.
And you might start looking for a good divorce lawyer. I think you're going to need one.
All right, come on now.
Hello.
Oh, hello, Diane.
Let's take a little stroll out to the gate, shall we?
I could use some fresh air.
Come on. We'll duck out the big stage door here.
Okay. Well, it doesn't look like I have much longer, does it?
Not much.
Now or never.
I'm not quite sure I know what you're talking about, Denny.
Let's quit kidding ourselves. You know what I'm talking about. If she divorces me, we're finished.
You're finished.
All right, I'm finished. So if we are ever going to do anything, it's got to be now.
All right, let's quit kidding ourselves. Are we going to do anything?
I would, if I knew how.
There's the guard at the gate.
Good evening, Mr. O'Brien. Miss Burton.
Uh-huh.
Hello.
Hey, Madame, can I please have your autograph?
Afraid you got the wrong gal, Sonny. I'm not Madame.
You can't fool me, Madame. You're shooting that picture, Carmelita.
Oh, go on, Peter, will you?
I even seen you in the same dress lots of
Oh,
times.
sure, they fixed me up to look like Madame, but I'm not. I'm only her stand-in.
Stand-in?
Come on, Diane.
Wait a minute. Look, Sonny. They gotta have somebody standing in there so they can focus everything just right, and that's me. Then when they're ready to shoot the scene, Madame comes out all fresh and pretty and plays it. You see now?
Oh, you sure look like her, though.
Well, that's what they pay me for.
Diane.
What?
That's it. That's the how, right there.
The what?
How. The kid just told us just now. Don't you get it?
The how? How do you...
Sure. Out of the mouths of babes. How to murder your wife.
The whole thing would take about 20 minutes. It had to be timed and planned to the split second. We planned it for the last day and the last shot of the picture, when everybody lets down and gets sort of half hysterical at the idea that the thing is finally over. The shooting schedule was made for us. The last shot with Madame was on an enormous set of a cathedral interior, with the camera pulling back half the length of the stage. It was shot silent. There was no dialogue and no sound. We figured the shot for about 10:30 at night, and we were almost right on the nose. They finished the close-up, and the sound men had shoved their mics and things over to one side of the set, and the director and the cameraman were lining up for the long shot.
We'll be ready in about 20 minutes, madame.
Well, I'll be in my dressing room. Call me, if you please. Oh, what a relief. What a blessed relief. It's almost over.
Madame.
Yes, my dear.
You won't need me anymore, will you?
Oh, no. No, my dear. Run along. Run along and enjoy yourself, and thank heaven you're not a star.
Thanks. Good night, Madame.
Good night, dear. Well. Dennis.
Hello, Maggie.
I've been beastly to you lately, Dennis, really. Come along to my dressing room. We'll have a little talk.
As I was leaving the stage, Denny was taking her back to her dressing room. It was 10:40, and I knew exactly how he'd look at her, and what he'd say, and what he'd do. The less said about that, the better. It was Olivia de Havilland who got the award, of course, not Madame. And she found out about it just before the dinner and threw a whingding. But we got her out of there and brought her home before she caused too much damage. And Mike called a doctor, and he gave her a sedative, and then Denny and I were alone for the first time. All alone in that big, rambling mausoleum of a house.
Diane?
Yes?
Come over here, won't you?
I'm all right here.
Then I'll come over there. I'm not used to these big spaces.
But keep a little space, huh, Denny? I'm not used to no space.
I know. I've got no business even looking at you.
But what?
For a week now, I've been watching you. Thinking about you.
I know.
Did you?
Well, those things don't usually happen to just one person, Denny. It takes two.
Diane?
Oh, wait a minute, Denny.
Why?
There are a couple of things we'd better get straight.
All right.
Oh, Denny, you poor, big, beautiful character, you. Why did you have to marry her?
Well, things look a little different sometimes from where you are than they do when you get there.
And where were you?
I was a lifeguard. Just as simple as that.
And you thought this looked even easier.
Well, there wasn't anyone else, and I thought, well, Hollywood, glamour, luxury. I might even get a break myself. Funny things have happened.
Now you know.
Yeah. Now I know.
But you still want those things that you married her for, don't you?
Sure, I suppose so. But I want something else now.
Me.
Yeah.
Sure. You got what you want, but I haven't. And I'm not settling for anything less. I'm not going to be the little girl that you see when you want to and then come back and lie around in your swimming pool. I want a swimming pool, too.
Well, maybe there's a way we can have it together.
Sure. There is a way.
What way are you thinking about?
A way that people like us would never want to take.
But suppose we did.
That would be different.
Is that a deal?
Sure. That's a deal. Casual. The light touch. But it was there just the same. We never spoke about it after that. Things went along and, well, I'm only human, too. But there was always that understanding between us. All that time we were just waiting, I guess, for what they call in the crime stories the opportunity. And then on the last week of the shooting schedule on Madame's new picture, it came. There was only one more take before we knocked off that day, so I was free to go home. But everybody else was jumpy and irritable as usual, particularly Madame. And then I saw Denny walking down the stage.
Don't blame me for holding up the picture. You're the director, I'm not.
Oh, please,
I'll be
Madame.
ready any time you say.
Make it 10 minutes.
Well, really.
Okay, fellas, move in for the close-up. Oh, hello there, Maggie.
Oh, it's you.
Yeah, when are you quitting?
Oh, Dennis, how do I know? I'm not the director. I'm merely the star.
You know, we're supposed to be aboard the yacht by 7:30. There'll be people waiting.
All right.
Door, Denny. Yes, that's it. Do sit down. Make yourself comfortable.
No, thanks.
Oh, don't be silly. There's just one more take and
You're
then
not going to make it, though, Maggie.
What do you mean?
I mean, you're through, Maggie. Through.
Dennis.
You're leaving, Denny? Yeah, I got my orders. She said to call her when you're ready. Okay. Night, Denny. Night.
7 minutes. 7 minutes were gone. Now he'd be passing the guard at the stage door.
Good night, Mr. O'Brien. Night.
And now he'd be walking down the studio street and turning the corner at the other end of stage 1 and strolling over to the guard at the main gate.
Hello, Mr. O'Brien. Going home now? I wish I knew. You married, Matt? I know what you mean. Well, I got my orders, and all I can do is carry them out. Ours not to question why, eh? Yeah, that's right. You waiting for Madame? Yep. She told me to wait until exactly 11 o'clock, and if she wasn't out here to go on home, so I got 10 or 15 minutes to kill. Cigarette? Oh, thanks. Don't mind if I do.
He'd stay there now. He'd stay there until it was time. It was 10:49. Just 5 minutes before, I had passed that same guard on the stage door.
Good night, Miss Burke.
Night. And I had walked down the same studio street and passed the same guard at the main gate.
Well, finally knocking off, eh, Miss Burke?
That's right. Good night.
Yeah, good night, Miss Burke. Good night.
I had walked straight ahead, as though I was going to the bus line. And then, when I was out of sight of the main gate, I ducked up the little side street that runs along the west end of the lot. I kept in the shadows now, watching every move. About 100 feet from the corner, there's another gate. It's usually locked and never used. But they'd been shooting an exterior, and they'd taken the gate off the hinges. There were barricades across the entrance, and a watchman who passed about every 15 minutes and then rounded the corner. He was passing now. I waited in the shadows. Now, he was gone. Now was the time. I took a quick look around. There was no one in sight. I dashed to the gate and was over the barricades in an instant and running as softly as I could toward the back of stage 1. The big door at the back where they move in the scenery and the flats was open about a foot. We'd seen to that. And I squeezed in and I made my way behind the scenes to Madame's dressing room. I opened the door and closed it behind me. And then I knew for sure that Denny had been there and done his part. She was lying on the floor with the marks of his big hand still on her throat. She was dead. It was 10:57. I had on the costume with the veil over my face, and there was nothing to do but wait. Wait there, shut up in a little room with a dead woman. For them to call her, and for me to play her part.